After settling one semi-final, Derek Mountfield is back for another, recovered from the knee injury he was suffering from when he scored Everton's extra-time winner against Luton in the FA Cup. Howard Kendall can also confront Bayern Munich with those two influential figures missing from the first leg, Andy Gray and Kevin Sheedy. And this Everton side could make history tonight. It will be the first to reach a European final without conceding a goal, if Neville Southall, unbeaten in 7 matches in Europe so far, keeps another clean sheet. Bayern realise the importance of their own master goalkeeper, Jean-Marie Pfaff, who's needed pain-killing injections in a thigh strain to be able to play tonight. The leaders of the West German Bundesliga have made one change from the game in Munich. Their coach, Udo Lattek, has included an extra midfield player, Norbert Nachtwey, in place of a striker, Michael Rummenigge. Dieter Hoeneß, so ineffective a fortnight ago, surprisingly retains his place in attack, alongside the star of that Bayern performance, 19-year-old Ludwig Kögel. Referee Erik Fredriksson comes from Sweden, and he took charge of last season's European Cup final between Liverpool and Roma. Howard Kendall, just a sign of tension from the Everton manager, but he's promised it will be a great night for his club and his players. But it is a night when something has got to give. Both clubs here with 3 trophies in their sights, both through to their domestic cup finals, both leaders of their respective leagues. But which side will be going to Rotterdam for the Cup Winners' Cup final on May the 15th? If Everton need to sharpen their appetites, the sight of Bayern in an all-red strip is something that will inspire them to get their teeth into the opposition, metaphorically at least. Matthäus with the header. Kevin Sheedy and Van den Hauwe, who, as I'm sure you've all read, has chosen to play for Wales and has been christened by the humorists in the Everton dressing room as Die Van den Hauwe. And Bayern tried to play an offside game that didn't work for them. Well collected by Trevor Steven. Half cleared by Adair. Here's Augenthaler, the captain, who was sent crashing after he'd played the ball. Klaus Augenthaler has had an operation on a knee injury since the first leg. He was whisked off to Switzerland for some special treatment and recovered quickly, although he's immediately in the wars here. Bayern have only one current West German international, Lothar Matthäus. Gary Stevens misjudging. Something of a tricky breeze around Goodison Park tonight. What there is also for certain is an electric atmosphere. Great anticipation amongst the Evertonians. Flugler with a long throw. And Hoeneß jumping clumsily. Some 300 supporters in an official party from Bayern Munich. And the West German flag on display. Flicked on by Sharp. Trevor Steven. Here's Bracewell. Free kick to Everton. Bracewell was just caught by Søren Lerbu, Bayern's Danish international midfield player. And Pfaff who loves the limelight. He's a wild character from a gypsy background. Snapping away at Wolfgang Dremmler was Paul Bracewell. Dremmler played for West Germany in the 1982 World Cup final. Here's Gray. Everton certainly feel they have extra weapons here, if not exactly secret ones, in the return of Andy Gray and Kevin Sheedy. Gary Stevens. Here's Reed. Down goes Sharp. Felled by his marker, Flugler. And it seems clear that Flugler will stick close to Sharp, while Adair has the responsibility of taking care of Andy Gray. Stevens with the free kick. Mountfield well forward. Gray met it. In came Reed. Steven! He was onside too. And if Everton were craving an early opening, it fell to Trevor Steven then. Just 4 minutes played. The final header came from Reed, and Steven, inside the 6-yard box, dragged his shot well wide. Mateus. Everton, to some extent, are caught in the classic dilemma of European football. They must press forward, but they know an away goal for Bayern could cause untold damage. Here's Gary Stevens. Every shot at goal from Everton, you can be sure, will be roundly cheered, even when it's off target, as Stevens was then. Touched on by Hernes. Cleared quickly by Southall. Lerbu. Ratcliffe and Hernes, and this time it's Mountfield in the covering position. Sharp. Augenthaler diving in front of Andy Gray. Ratcliffe, and Bayern have got it wrong again in terms of trying to play offside. Steven. It's Sharp will jump with the goalkeeper, and Faf falls heavily after some sure handling. 47 times he's played for Belgium, Jean-Marie Faf. Steven. Bracewell has made a run beyond Andy Gray. Augenthaler was there for Bayern. Steven. Kevin Ratcliffe has continued his charge forward. And Gray, even by his acrobatic standards, couldn't reach it. Well, Howard Kendall saying this morning that he wanted some control in Everton's start to this match without over-committing their resources forward. But Kevin Ratcliffe ran helter-skelter to provide an extra man in attack there. Steven. Here's Reed. Mountfield in support. Mountfield again. Sheedy. The tackle came from Adair, and then from the blonde-haired Nakvai. And here's Lerbu. Kurgel starting on the left for Bayern. Augenthaler. just for a moment, Bayern showed their possibilities on the counter-attack, especially in terms of the numbers they were prepared to spring forward. Mountfield, then Van den Hauwe, after Mountfield had rather miscued. Augenthaler. Here's Matthäus. Ratcliffe jumping with Matthäus. And the urgency shown by Van den Hauwe's rather hurried attempt to clear, more controlled the second time. Here's Sheedy. Took too long. Dremler got back at him. Bracewell. Stephen. Søren Lerbu with happy memories of visits to England. He was in Denmark's side that won at Wembley some 18 months ago in that vital European Championship qualifier. Stevens. In with a foot raised was Vilmer. And now Bayern do have a free kick conceded by Stevens. Lerbu to take the free kick. Augenthaler has joined forces with Hoeneß in the middle. And they both found the ball too long for them. Back from Nachtwey. And Hoeneß! He just managed one menacing header in the first leg. He is a tall, almost British type of frontman. Excellent in the air. Gray, sharp, and Sheedy, can he control? Dremler thought Sheedy might have handled, and Everton feel that they might have had a penalty. In the end, the decision is a corner. Sharp flicked it on, and Sheedy tried to collect. Now, was there an arm there? It seemed to be from Dremler, but maybe not intentional. Stephen with the corner, Pfaff beats it away. Sheedy can play it back, and Bayern are pushed out. Pfaff all alone. Kürgel. Lerbu sensed the possibilities of an early cross towards Hoeneß, but lacked the execution. Sharp. Stephen did well to keep it in. Surprised, I think, even some of his teammates. Matthäus. Bayern with so much more experience of European competition than this Everton side. Udo Lattek on the extreme left of the Bayern bench, the coach, and in the sunglasses we just got a glimpse of Uli Hoeneß, now the general manager. Dremler. Augenthaler taking over. A swirling cross from Nachtwey. That was beyond Peter Hoeneß. Gray. Flugler got a bang in the face. And now occasion it was Adair marking Sharp. Dremler finding Nagfai. Now Mateus. Straight though to Trevor Stephen. Reed. And an elbow used by Flugler, even though Sharp was backing into him first. It was a blatant infringement by Flugler. Perhaps fortunate for number 7 that the referee didn't take sterner action. The elbow was thrust into Graham Sharp's face. Ratcliffe. Bayern come charging out. Ratcliffe might go it alone, and he was obstructed. The offside was given against Sheedy. But Bayern, en bloc, came charging up towards the halfway line to compress the play. And that's clearly a ploy Everton must work hard to overcome. Alcantara. Dremler. Nagfai. Adair. Just a moment's space for Peter Reid. Everton delivering the ball to the front players quickly from the back. Sheedy. And Gray and Stephen going for the same ball, which is reclaimed by Stevens. Out by Flugler. Bracewell. Played at a frantic pace. Everton trying to establish some sort of control in the early chapter of this second leg of the semi-final. Offside, Kürgel. Bayern Munich, of course, champions of the European Cup on 3 occasions, 74, 75 and 76, when Uli Hoeneß, in the sunglasses there, was a player. Sharp, and Sheedy took it well, fast coming, and the goalkeeper just got his body behind Sheedy's shot. Sheedy's sense finding the goal-scoring opening was evident again. He got beyond Dremler, who left it rather for the goalkeeper. Mateus. Bayern's position at the top of the Bundesliga is much more precarious than Everton's at the top of the First Division. Bayern only lead by 1 point over Werder Bremen. Reed protests, but he was caught. The referee allowed the game to go on. Lebu was the Bayern offender. Stevens. Goal kick. And Lebu was late and caught Peter Reid painfully around the ankle. Sheedy. Gracewell. Adair had committed himself and ended on the ground. And then goes down a second time. Reed with perhaps something of the revenge motive about it, having been fouled himself, not by Adair, but by Lerbu a minute or two earlier. And Reed was burning a short fuse as he flung himself into that late tackle. The match will only go into extra time if it remains goalless after 90 minutes. Sharp. Stephen. Gray. Andy Gray will appreciate the attempts to try and get the service to him early. One or two of those players looking to provide the crosses. And perhaps getting their accuracy affected a little by the undoubted tension out there. Ratcliffe. Tremler turning, but almost playing Adair into trouble. Hernes, and Mateus was offside. And will be spoken to by the referee for what I think is regarded as a spot of time wasting. Mateus, by his gesture, indicating that he didn't hear the whistle because of the crowd noise. Gray, no angle on the header to suit Sharp. Vilma. Gray. Nicely played by Alcantara for Dremler. Free kick given against Sheedy. In their hunt for a goal, Everton must retain their organisation and discipline in front of Neville Southall. Certainly the wind is playing a trick or two when the ball is swung high. Dremler. Mateus asking Hernes to fight for one that was sent towering into the air. Gray. And he lashed out at Flugler in retaliation. I'm not sure whether he actually connected. Flugler into the back of Gray, and after the ball had gone, Gray aimed a wild kick in retaliation. The referee speaking to both players. Gray is being called. He wants Flugler as well. And the yellow card goes to both players. Feelings are running high here at Goodison Park. Quite rightly, it's Everton's free kick for the initial foul by Flugler. With Alcantara over his back, but Mountfield really wasn't attempting to jump. Sheedy, and Faf picked his close eye on proceedings when it might have been easily distracted by the crowd, who were howling for a penalty. My impression was that Mountfield was in fact making a back for Augenthaler. Sheedy, Pfaff's got to come, he's out of his area, and he's always had a flair for the unorthodox, Jean-Marie Pfaff. The Evertonians turn up the volume again. Augenthaler away. Hernes. Van den Hauwe with foot raised. Free kick against him for dangerous play. Augenthaler. All the Everton players were impressed with Ludwig Kögel, who attacked them on both flanks in Munich 2 weeks ago. That was only the 5th senior game he'd started for Bayern. Tonight is only his 8th. Sheer aggression of the contest so far has rather detracted from the amount of pure football that either side has tried to play. Gray. And Dremler used the hand, not dissimilar to the situation inside that Bayern penalty area earlier in this half. This time Dremler is punished, which will allow Bayern to give treatment to Eder for a facial injury. Referee Fredriksson is signalling to Udo Lattek, who'd come onto the pitch, the Bayern coach. And it might be a case of repairs taking place off the pitch. Eder jumped with Gray and got the back of Gray's head in his face. Sheedy takes the free kick. Here's Stephen. Gray. Hernes defending. Stevens. The final shot from Gary Stevens. Bayern still a player light. Kögel. The first real illustration of the precocious talent of this 19-year-old. But Bayern still with 10 men. Bertram Bayerlotzer, who is a defender, warming up in case he's required to take the place of Eder. Gray. Vilma. This is Kirkle. Lebu. Augenthaler a little reluctant to join in, with Adair still off the pitch. They haven't quite found Dieter Hoeneß with their crosses as yet, Bayern. Here he is. Lebu. Sharp in pursuit. It should be Augenthaler's ball. Augenthaler, who can pass the ball tremendous distances with great accuracy. So the damage to the nose repaired for the moment. Adair is back. But the sight of that might just encourage Andy Gray even more to make life uncomfortable for Norbert Adair. The two are side by side already. The header, though, comes from Augenthaler, only as far as Steven. The second line of defence was Vilma at the cost of a throw. A raw-boned contest with a place in a major European final at stake. And it's no place for the faint-hearted. Augenthaler, Gray. Pfaff got there first. Ratcliffe. Bayern do have a feeling that if Everton are vulnerable, it is in the air at the back. And that's why Dieter Hoeneß, the number 9, has been included. Augenthaler. Howard Kendall, who started the match sitting in the stand, already down on the bench. Steven, and now Sharp. There was no room to manoeuvre. Mateus saw to that. What for a second looked like a gap for Graham Sharp was closed instantly. Too much of a hurry. Bracewell, Brandon Howe again. So the scars of battle already showing. Two teams here really slugging it out toe-to-toe. Obstruction on Gray, off the ball by Flugler, has given Everton a free kick in a position which might capture the imagination of Kevin Sheedy. Flugler just stepped across and blocked the passage of Gray. Pfaff setting his wall. Sheedy has just moved the ball, which is a clever ploy to try and find the wall in the wrong position. Pfaff has readjusted. Maybe, though, it'll be Gary Stevens. He's lurking there as well. Stevens over the ball. Here's Sheedy. And it was desperately close. You'd stake your family fortune on Kevin Sheedy's left foot, and he's so nearly obliged again. The curve in the end, taking the ball beyond that far post. Sharp, Gray to his right. But no one for Everton beyond Gray. Stephen had run it back. Gray joining Sharp in the middle. Lebu prevented the cross. Sharp going towards the near post for the long throw, and he got there. Gray tried to screen it. Bayern had sufficient numbers back. And McVie reflecting their desperate plight at the moment. Everton battering at the door. Gray, Sharp, Bracewell, Sheedy's header, Vanden Hauwe. In goes Sharp! This time, Bath was beaten. The header just too high. Everton were pouring down on the Bayern goal then. And if crowd participation is worth a goal to the home side, it will surely be on this occasion. Everton being roared forward. Supporters who have been starved of success in recent seasons, sensing now that this team is on the verge of real glory. But so far, Bayern Munich have kept them at bay and kept the scoreline at 0-0. And they look to go forward here with Dremler. Lebu, Alcantara, Kirtle away to the left. Stephen in the way for Everton. Alcantara. And Southall hangs on. Bayern striking through Mateus from the edge of the area. And it is their ability to shoot from long range which has caused Howard Kendall some concern. He will have been making that point to Neville Southall earlier today. Most of the meaningful efforts in Munich came from distance. And Mateus, who had the shot, hits them better than most. Kirtle is onside and clean in at Neville Southall. And Hernes off the goalkeeper. There are two on the line for Everton, but Hernes finds a way past them. Everton's European fortress has fallen at last. 8 minutes from half-time. Hernes keeping his composure after he'd picked his way round Neville Southall. But the significant moment in the goal was when Kirtle was able to spring the Everton offside trap. He couldn't finish it. Southall did well to hold him up. But Hernes, rather ponderously, but effectively, puts Bayern in front. So Udo Lattek's surprise choice gives Everton a real task here. They have to score twice to get a place in the final now. 1-1 would not be enough, because Bayern would still be leading in terms of the away goal. And the quite frantic atmosphere in Goodison Park has suddenly turned to silence. But here's Sheedy. Sharp coming in, Faf has lost it. It was an ambitious charge off his line from the Belgian goalkeeper, but he did enough. Steven. Corner for Everton. Corner played short. Stevens. And Adair, who was outnumbered by Everton players then. Stevens with the throw. Sharp goes for it. Bracewell. But Derek Mountfield and his fellow defenders left Southall totally exposed and were caught by a break of great perception by Ludwig Kürgel. Steven, Sharp couldn't control. And it has been an anxious first half for Everton. Even before they conceded the goal, he sensed the players are trying to go about their business in too much of a hurry. And they just need perhaps the likes of Peter Reid and Paul Bracewell to calm them down and slow them down in midfield. Sharp. Covering was Adair. Here's Reid. If anyone can organise an Everton recovery, it is surely Peter Reid. Everton, though, have largely bypassed their midfield players in the first half. They've sent it long and quickly towards Sharp, as they do now, and towards Gray. Here's Reid, though. And Mateus puts it onto the roof of the stand, above his own goal. A goal which is so precious to them. Bayern doubly determined to see it through to half-time unscathed, but Van den Hauwe, if he'd known it, would have had time to turn then. Sheedy, too close to Faf, and Gray must be careful. No complaints from Faf about the challenge. Stephen. Dieter Hernes, who scored an important goal for Bayern in the quarter-final against Roma, has done the trick again. Flugler with Sharp. Everton's throw. Reed. Gray and Bracewell in the middle, joined by Sheedy. And now by Vanden Hauwe. Bracewell. Stephen. And Pfaff again in the right place. He has been throughout the first half, which is drawing now to a close. He's a formidable barrier for Everton to try to beat. Sheedy is offside. Genuinely hadn't heard the whistle, neither had Dremler. Looks at his watch to indicate to Augenthaler again that he's aware of time wasting, and Bayern will use every trick in the book, you can be sure now, to use up precious seconds. Bracewell. Mateus. Stopped unfairly by Kevin Ratcliffe. Lebu taking the free kick for Nakfai. Quite prepared to keep possession and allow time to tick away to the interval. Stevens, and then the header from Bracewell. Here's Stephen, whose early miss is looking more important now. Bracewell has stayed down to add to Everton's difficulties. Reed. Here's Stephen. It's a sweet turn. Stevens does the same. And Bracewell didn't want the ball. He'd only just picked himself up after being injured. And Bayern catch Everton offside. It is the application of that tactic that has been an important factor in the first half, and in Everton's case, the lack of application. The half-time whistle, and Everton go to the dressing room knowing that the goal from Dieter Hernes 8 minutes from half-time means that they have to score twice in the second half if they are going to progress into their first European final. They have to find a way behind a goalkeeper who looks very much in form, Jean-Marie Pfaff. And I would think Everton will be looking for more composure in their second half performance. At half-time at Goodison Park, it's Everton 0, Bayern Munich 1. Welcome back to Goodison Park, where Everton's dreams of the treble are under threat. Trailing 1-0 to Bayern Munich, who have gone out of European competition to a British club in each of the last 4 seasons. Dieter Hoeneß, the scorer of the goal that has caused these mounting problems for Everton. Bayern have won this competition back in 1967. They beat Rangers. Gray and Steven. The first touch let him down, but he was at full stretch. Reed. Hoeneß will probably expect to do more defending than attacking in the second half. And Kevin Ratcliffe has to lift his players. The crowd will be trying to do their bit as well. But it will be a congested Bayern defence. And we've seen Graham Sharp land 1 or 2 spectacular volleys from that range. Notably at Anfield this season. But Faf incurring momentarily the displeasure of the crowd for showing no great hurry to get the game restarted. In fact, it was the Everton supporters who were slow in passing the ball back to him. Gray. Beaten by Flugler, only momentarily. So far, things haven't quite gone Trevor Stevens' way in this match, but he's not shirking the responsibility or trying to hide. Reed. Kurgel's tackle. Bracewell. Here's Stevens. Steven outside him. Sharp and Gray waiting beyond the far post. Still Steven. And now Bracewell. And McFly in the way. And Gray goes in. Sharp! The perfect start to the second half. And Everton have recaptured the party mood. From the long throw, taken by Gary Stevens, and Bayern neglected Andy Gray at their peril. Sharp was stooping in with Adair. The defender may have had a touch as well, but it's Sharp's goal. And it's number 29. It was the merest of deflections, enough though to beat Faf. 1-1. 3 minutes into the second half. And just a reminder, if you're unfamiliar with the complexities of the European rules, as the referee wants to take action perhaps against Dremler and give Everton a throw rather than a free kick. Dremler got the ball. 1-1. Still leaves Bayern in front in terms of the away goal. So Everton have to score again, and Steven trying to oblige straight away. Gray. Here's Steven. And Reed winning it back from Kurgel. The cross from Stevens. Sheedy. Sharp was jumping. Reed. Stevens. Bayern under the collar. And Udo Lattek animated on the bench Gray unsettles Bayern again. Augenthaler, the last man. So they found a way past Jean-Marie Pape, who is beginning to look unbeatable tonight. They've become unaccustomed to seeing defeats here. Everton's run before this game, 23 games unbeaten. Well, are Bayern good enough to hold out, or maybe come again? Are Everton good enough to break them down? Augenthaler away. Dremler, out of your picture, was trying to roll the ball away and catch the referee, not realising that he was trying to waste time. Stevens, a purposeful break from him. And it's Lerbu showing that he can not only pass the ball when he gets it, that he can win it. Kürgel, who will always be the threat on the counter-attack. Everton have problems again. Mateus. Two teams here, head-to-head, slugging it out. Again, but he was quickly back on his feet this time. Lerbu. Here's Augenthaler. And Kürgel is the way forward for Bayern. Taking on Stevens. Hoeneß arriving in the middle. Well, make a note of the name of Ludwig Kürgel, already a West German under-21 international, highly regarded in his native country, and surely a player who will progress into the full international squad sooner rather than later. Mateus caused Everton problems in Munich with deeply hit corners that swing in, as that one did, but Ratcliffe read it. Dremler. Dremler's shot, and Hoeneß with those long legs. He was making up ground quickly, as Southall does to collect the ball. No time to waste. Lerbu. Stevens closed Kürgel down quickly. Gray jumps unchallenged, and it almost squeezed the header behind Eder for Sharp. Van den Hauwe. Gray, who will throw himself at anything within reach, and even when the ball is out of range. Kürgel. Lerbu. Here's Reed. Ratcliffe wanted to join in, thought better of it, and Reed goes on. Great advantage played by the referee, and Bracewell squanders it after Reed has set him up. Paul Bracewell is a player Everton do feel should score more goals, and the goal was gaping then. After Reed went on, although he was fouled, Everton kept the ball, and Gray involved too. Sharp. Kürgel, who was fouled after playing the clearance. That was a tremendous pass, really, from one corner to the other. The player who received the ball and then gave it away was Nakfai. Norbert Nakfai, who in fact is an East German who defected when he was on a youth tour in the West. Outfield. Well, Flugler could hardly have done it better. Here is Flugler, but Reed sterner in the tackle. Gray. And Stevens. It's a dangerous man to give possession to is Kürgel. And Ratcliffe had to take drastic action. It's hard to believe that it's Kürgel's first season as a full-time professional. He's so elusive. And Ratcliffe scythed him down. Dremler had gone across to talk to the bench. There's a reaction in the crowd. Some of the Bayern substitutes taking issue with the Everton supporters close to the dugout. Dremler, no trouble for Southall. The only problem is to get the ball back quickly. At the other end, Jean-Marie Pfaff must be pondering what lies ahead. There's still a lot of activity around the Bayern bench. Blocked by Stephen. Well, we have seen this from West German teams before. Theatrical falling. But no doubt on the far side there was some sort of incident, although the substitutes are smiling now, between some Everton supporters and those Bayern players who turned round and made their feelings known for the Evertonians. Sharp. Can he keep it in? He can. Flugler away. Pressed by Gray as he did so. Ratcliffe. One for Gray to compete for. Stephen takes it from Reed. Trevor Stephen has misplaced more passes tonight than he probably has in 10 other games. It's a difficult mental task for Everton now. The minutes are ticking away. a tinge of irony about the cheering as Everton finally get a free kick. Mountfield has come forward, as he has done to such good effect this season. And in the end it was Brandon Howe who made contact. And Brandon Howe has one thing in common with the goalkeeper Everton are trying to beat, but they were both born in Belgium. Holding. He's already had the yellow card, and his protest must be measured, to say the least. Again, the gesture indicates that the referee is aware that Bayern are using up some time. He points to the watch. Beaten by Hoeneß, but no one for Bayern had got ahead of the ball. Here's Steven against Vilma. In comes Gray, and Reed. Pfaff is there. It came at an awkward height for Peter Reed. Who has this thigh injury, is in pain again. Players are down all over the pitch. Mateos is up. Turgel has stayed down. The goalkeeper has repositioned. The prize is such an important one. And the succession of stoppages is inevitable. But the crowd don't mind as long as the free kicks go Everton's way. Sheedy takes. Sharp is unmarked. Stevens. Now Reed. Bayern coming out quickly at him. Steven. Vilma showed him the inside route. Steven just retrieved by Sheedy. Gray was onside and couldn't control. Bracewell was agonisingly close to Peter Reed, who will still have a chance to get the cross in. All hands to the pump for Bayern. Kurgel. Has some treatment while the game is still going on. It's an injury that the goalkeeper says affects him more in terms of kicking the ball than his mobility in terms of making saves. Ratcliffe gives it away. That was an important challenge for Mountfield to win. Back from Flugler. Bayern are looking to make their first substitution. Bertram via Lorza. Ratcliffe. Here's Vanden Hauwe. Sharp! That is a splendid save from Pfaff. Sharp can't enjoy it. Only the few who travelled here from Germany would in this stadium. But Graham Sharp thought that he might have hooked his shot into that bottom corner then. Pfaff denied him. Stevens. Sharp slipped at the crucial moment. Brought away by Eder. It was Reed's tackle. Sheedy. Past Tremler, who has 3 or 4 attempts to halt him unfairly. And the referee was conscious that Everton was still in possession. But it's Nakfai who carries the fight forward for Bayern. Kurgel. The linesman flags against Andy Gray for offside. And Bayern can now make their substitution. Vilma, the player who goes off, to be replaced by another defender, Bayerlotzer. And there are 24 minutes left. Kurgel. Stevens. Bracewell. There's no doubt that Everton's anxieties have been apparent. They're such a young team, and inevitably, when the stakes are so high, mistakes will follow. Bayerlotzer. Sharp made sure there was no way back for him. Hernes. And the substitute in firmly. 27 years old. Sharp. Levo, 5 forward for Bayern in this attack. Hernes. Mateus and Sheedy in the way. It's Everton's biggest crowd of the season. And the spectators torn now between cheering their side on and biting their nails as the minutes tick away. Nakfai. Here's Mountfield. Bayern wanted an offside. It wasn't forthcoming then. Sharp. And again. Sheedy into the feet of Bracewell. Squirmed away by Flugler. Bayerlotzer and Kurgel taking it on the burst. Flugler is alongside him and Hernes. And coming from deeper, Drummer, but without the ball. Sharp takes the throw quickly. Well, Everton, who used all their resources and reserves of character to come back against Luton in the FA Cup semi-final, are being asked to do exactly the same thing again. Reed, Stephen to his right. Bayerlotzer concedes the corner. "20 minutes left. Everton 1, Bayern Munich 1. Sheedy to take the corner. away from Mateus. Bayern had brought everyone back, and Ratcliffe, that will suit Bayern. Lebu. And it's Dremler. Southall takes it on the chest, picks his pass, or was it an arm? That's the way the referee saw it. It was a cruel bounce in the end for Neville Southall. Everton know that if they concede the second goal here, surely all would be lost. Lebu has paced out a run like a fast bowler. And I think if it had been in cricket, it would have been called a wide. Sharp. And Flugler plugs the gap. Bayern down to 10 men because Eder in the wars once more. Stevens with another testing long throw. Faf lost it. A goal. Andy Gray. Such delight on the terraces. Such delight amongst the players. And twice Everton have scored from a long throw. Eder could take no part, and Bayern were a defender short. And Faf will look back at this and wonder. It was his own players who balked him, and Andy Gray had an open goal. Meanwhile, Bayern have brought on another substitute as we look again at the goal, which has brought such raptures of joy around Goodison Park. Michael Rummenigge has come on with Eder, the player he's replaced. But Everton lead, and here's Peter Reid, and Sharp is offside. And now it's Everton who will want the time to pass quickly. Gray has shown himself the man for the big occasion once more. But Jean-Marie Pfaff clapped at Stevens' long throw, and Gray said thank you. Ernest. Cacophony of sound. They're thinking about Rotterdam on May the 15th. Try to tell them that the job is not finished yet, but the players know that. And Gray, was there a butt from Dremler? Sensibly, Gray's teammates shove him away. Andy Gray, who brings such strength of purpose as well as strength of physique to his work. Gray. Kürgel. Bayern with the extra forward on now, fouled by Sheedy. So it's Bayern's turn. So we think maybe along desperate lines here. They have to score. Ernest. McFly. Sharp. Bayern. Augenthaler, play on. And Southall was surprised at the velocity of the low cross. Stevens using his long throw to defensive advantage. Mountfield. And Mountfield the second time. Jean-Marie Pfaff coming off his line. Sharp trying to back in, but Pfaff coming over his own players who were providing his greatest problem. Gray, abrasive to the end. But one or two Everton supporters will be wondering, unsure, as to whether Gray will be able to keep his composure. Stephen, Gray was in his way. So Jean-Marie Pfaff will certainly remember his first visit to Goodison Park. A first half in which he stopped everything that was thrown at him. But twice Everton have found a way through in the second period. Here's Reed. Corner off Lerbu. And to Everton's credit, they're not settling for what they've got. Sheedy and Reed working the short free kick. And Stevens. Pfaff's taken a number of paces. Kicking, you'll notice, with his left foot because of the injury. Ten minutes left, which will seem a lifetime to Everton and will pass like a single heartbeat for Bayern, I'm sure. Gray. Mateos. Augenthaler has sneaked forward. Tremler. Ratcliffe only as far as Rummenigge. And here's Gray. Sharp offside just. Before Bayern can take the free kick. Bracewell in trouble. Sharp prepared to pursue the debate, shall we say. And Howard Kendall, his concern with the injury to Bracewell, and maybe just a little tactical adjustment passed on by Kevin Sheedy. Away by Trevor Stephen. And some lovely control from Sharp, matched by the turn and by the pass. Reed. In the end, he and Trevor Stephen got too close for comfort to each other. Mountfield. Gray and Sharp both offside. Well, they know that as Ratcliffe gets a header away, that Bayern will fight to the very last. Kurgel, and Southall's catch. Chance for Ratcliffe and his men to draw breath. In comes Gray again. And Stephen! It could have provided the cushion of safety that Everton would love to have through the last few minutes. Another header to admire from Gray. Stephen shooting as he was challenged. Uli Hoeneß, that is, reflects. Sharp's header. Stephen. Now Gray has to go back for Everton to go forward. Sheedy. Here's Stevens. Gray's waiting beyond the far post for the deep cross, which almost came to him by Sheedy. Udo Lattek, the coach at the far end of the bench, who's guided clubs to victory in each of the three major European trophies. Stevens. Lotzer. Now Mateus. Rummenigge surely run offside, but the flag stayed down and it does again. Lebu. This is Hoeneß. Rummenigge and Flugler in the middle. Scramble to safety by Van den Hauwe. It was close enough to have the bench on their feet. Sheedy. Gray is onside, played onside by Nakbai. And Trevor Steven. It's settled now. Rotterdam, here they come. Absolute triumph for Howard Kendall, and they've done it in the grand manner, coming from behind. 4 minutes left. Bayern had committed numbers forward, and Nakbai, with the guilty man, allowing both Steven and Gray to stay onside. Tremendous piece of vision from Andy Gray, and a finish to admire from Trevor Steven. It's total celebration at Goodison Park. Steven, who hasn't had the happiest of nights, and great credit to him that he kept his nerve there. Once again, the referee having problems making his whistle heard. Bayern will surely have their own point of view on that critical second goal when Pfaff lost the long throw. But as Rummenigge goes in, Everton have in the end been irresistible in the second half. Here's Sharp. And Sheedy. Well, surely another would have been too much to expect. Well, Bayern saw that sign as they went out, and the welcome they were given was not just warm. In the end, it was red hot. Steven. Here's Flugler. And Vanden Hauwe. For Sheedy. Sharp's gone to the near post. It's a corner. So much of the hard work done in Munich a fortnight ago. But it was no easy task for Everton here on their own ground. The trauma of going behind to the goal from Dieter Hoeneß in the first half. But a second half performance that will live long in the memory. They're quite used to European trophies going the way of Liverpool in this part of the world. But Everton are having their say in 1985. Nachtwey. Bracewell. Everton simply came out for the second half, rolled up their sleeves and refused to be beaten. They're through to their first European final. Andy Gray's crucial goal, the second of Everton's three, and the unique treble is very much on at the expense of the similar ambitions of Bayern Munich. Graham Sharp's equaliser to the first half goal from Dieter Hoeneß. And Trevor Steven wrapping up the victory near the end. So Everton are off to Rotterdam on May the 15th. Another grand stage for them and their supporters in a quite extraordinary season. Consolation for Bayern from the Everton players in the tunnel. But Everton are through 3-1. And an immediate reaction from Andy Gray.
Night that was.
Yeah, I think the lads were pretty determined to show we're as good as anyone in Europe. And what more can I say? The performance second half was brilliant. I mean, they caught us on the hot ones. And we were unlucky to go in one down, actually. We felt we were a little bit unlucky. But second half was superb. And those fans were absolutely tremendous.
I was just about to say, a word about the atmosphere and the fans.
In actual fact, I think they sucked my goal in. Because I didn't hit it that hard. I'm sure they were all sucking in as it was going in the net. It was superb.
Just emotions are running very high, but...
Very high.
Yes. Looking at the second half, the equaliser came at a superb time for you.
Yeah, I mean, we always felt if we got one, we would get another up that end. And the boss was... He said there was nothing wrong first half. He was quite happy the way we were playing. We just didn't get a break. We got a break very early second half. And by God, we showed them we could play a bit.
There was a lot of feeling out there, wasn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, I mean the
Tempers
fans
were running pretty high.
Not really, no. It was going to be a very physical game, there's no doubt about that. The prize is enormous, Elton, it's enormous. It's a European final. It's a big, big prize, and no one's going to give that up lightly. And Bayern Munich weren't going to give it up lightly. Neither will we.
It must be marvellous to be an Evertonian at this time.
I'll tell you tomorrow. Thanks, Elton. Can I go now?
You can.
Thanks, pal.